Hey guys, welcome back to my Tome Topple wrap-up. Go ahead and talk about what I read during the past 2 weeks for Tome Topple, which officially ended at 11:59 Friday night, and which I finished reading my second tome at 11:52 p.m., so I made it by 7 minutes. So I'm glad I at least accomplished the majority of what I set out. I did have a third book in my TBR, which was this Illuminae, which I never did quite get to. So hopefully I'll pick this one up sometime later in the year. But before I get into that, someone had asked about this bear in one of my Friday reads, I think it was recently. If this was a black belt bear, and it is. It's a cute little black belt bear from the American Taekwondo Association where I studied, so in case you wanted a closer look at it. Okay, so on to Tome Topple. So there were 5 challenges. I did not complete the Buddy Read challenge in any way. I did read 2 tomes, which I have here. One of them had to be a manga or a graphic novel, which I chose Cat-Eyed Boy by Kazuo Umezu. This is the first volume in this, I believe, just 2-volume set, and it's 532 pages. Overall, I gave it 3 stars. I liked it, didn't overall love it, but it's about this young boy who ends up being nicknamed Cat-Eyed Boy, for obvious reasons. He's part goblin, part human. His father's a goblin. I mean, I'm assuming his mother was human because we never actually see her. She died in childbirth. And the goblins immediately want this boy destroyed because he looks too human. The father takes pity on him and deposits him at the doorstep of this young woman, human. And she tries to take care of the boy, but the humans around her are terrified of him. They want him destroyed. Mobs kind of, keep trying to attack him wherever they see him. And eventually he sets out on his own. So it's kind of a sad story. It's made up of all these little short vignettes of encounters with various situations that he runs into. His actual backstory, we don't get to like the second or third story within this volume here. And there are all sorts of creatures and goblins and strange things that he sees as he's sort of secretly living with the humans around him. He hides up in their attic and cellars and things like that. They don't quite often notice him, but when they do, again, a mob mentality, they want to destroy him and get rid of him. But all he's ever doing is really trying to help the people. There are some stories I liked in here better than others. There was something about the tsunami callers or something, I think it is. I think it's this one here, where he's trying to warn the people about these strange creatures that are drawing the tsunami towards them, but nobody wants to listen to him. There are some pretty gruesome creatures that this mangaka comes up with. But overall, like I said, I liked it. I didn't love it, but I am curious enough to want to pick up the second volume to see where the rest of it goes. So that was a 3-star read for me. Moving on, the next book kind of satisfies the 2-book challenge. Also, it's part of a series, and it's an adult novel, and that is The Burning World by Isaac Marion. Now this is the sequel to Warm Bodies, which a lot of people I don't think really know there is a sequel. He's now beginning a series called the Warm Body series, you can see that. And this sort of just kind of flew under the radar. I think it came out around February, at least as a hardcover in the US. I'm not sure in the UK if it was just in this paperback format. But I even checked our store to see if we had ever received it, and we hadn't. Although now we have, because I have put it as my staff rec. So yeah, it's if you're not familiar with Warm Bodies, it is sort of a Romeo and Juliet with a zombie and a human. We have our zombie, and he is sort of evolving. He's not your typical mindless zombie. The book is told from his point of view, which is a really neat perspective. And while he's still sort of in that zombie human attacking mode, he eats the brain of this young man, and when he does that, he kind of absorbs the memories of that person, and he experiences a lot of the feelings and things that person has, and he sees that this person was in love with a girl named Julie, who happens to be there kind of during this situation, and he ends up protecting her. He protects her from the other zombies in this horde that he's in, and takes her to like this plane he has it's at an airport, where he's kind of set up his own little home in a weird way, and he protects her from the other zombies. So that's sort of like the whole kind of story. It is like a forbidden kind of relationship, in this case, like I said, between a zombie and a human. And what I love the most about it, besides the uniqueness of the kind of twist on the zombie kind of story, is the prose. It's just so beautiful. Like, let me read you the beginning of just Warm Bodies, and I'll read a little bit of the next book without giving any spoilers away as to how this one concludes. But like I said, it's told from the point of R, the zombie. I am dead, but it's not so bad. I've learned to live with it. I'm sorry I can't properly introduce myself, but I don't have a name anymore. Hardly any of us do. We lose them like car keys, forget them like anniversaries. Mine might have started with an R, but that's all I have now. It's funny because back when I was alive, I was always forgetting other people's names. My friend M says the irony of being a zombie is that everything is funny, but you can't smile because your lips have rotted off. None of us are particularly attractive, but death has been kinder to me than some. I'm still in the early stages of decay, just the gray skin, the unpleasant smell, the dark circles under my eyes. I can almost pass for a living man in need of a vacation. So that kind of gives you an idea of like the writing. And this one opens up pretty much the same wonderful prose here. I'm going to jump a little ahead here to chapter 1. My name is R. It's not much of a name, but someone I love gave it to me. Whatever past lives return to me and whatever other names they bring, this is the one that matters. My first life fled without a fight and left nothing behind, so I doubt it was a loss worth mourning. A man I don't remember mixed genes with a woman I can't recall, and I was called to the stage. I stumbled through the curtain, squinting into the blinding light of the birth canal, and after a brief and banal performance, I died. This is the arc of the average life, unexamined, unremarked, unremarkable. And it should have ended there. In simpler times, life was a one-act play, and when it was over, we took our bows, caught our roses, and enjoyed any applause we earned. Then the spotlight faded, and we shuffled backstage to nibble crackers in the green room of eternity. Things work a little differently now. So the writing just draws me in with these books, and we delve further into R's life as he's kind of, his humanity sort of coming back more and more, his relationship with Julie, the situation around, and there's an added twist of these black helicopters that sort of show up on the scene with very strange people. They're known as the Axiom Group, and they say they want to sort of unify all these pockets of civilization. They can bring order and control and safety and everything, and I mentioned in one of my Friday reads about this book, about these people, that they seem like disingenuous customer service people. Their little sayings and things just don't seem real or believable. There's something off about them. There's something unsettling about them. And it was a really interesting twist to this story. I just love it. I highly recommend, if you haven't picked up Warm Bodies, to take a bite out of them, pardon the pun, and give them a try. I think you'll really, really like them. Overall, I gave this one 4 stars. And so, yeah, that was my Tome Topple experience. Like I said, I finished this one by the skin of my teeth. Pardon all the biting kind of references here, but yeah, I literally pushed myself to stay awake. I probably should have done a lot better for this readathon, but the past 2 weeks, I don't know if work has just been wearing me out, but I've just been really tired. It seems like every time I sat down to read, my eyes just wanted to close. And it was frustrating because, you know, when you get a really good book and you want to keep reading, and your body just is like, no, you just need to sleep. So overall, I really enjoyed these two, and I enjoyed taking part in the readathon. Moving on now, I'm going to go back to the book I was reading before this started, which was John Baird and Kevin Costner's The Explorers Guild. And an interesting little twist about this. The beginning of this book has this picture of this doorway, which references like a secret kind of entrance that leads to like an Explorers Guild. So check out the archway, the rounded archway and everything. Doorway. This book. If you follow my channel, you know I got a little weird coincidences and things like this. I just posted this on Twitter. This one ends with a doorway, an arched doorway. So, like I said on Twitter, where one door closes, another one opens. Very weird. In addition to that, I had to leave today to get a haircut, so I wanted a book with me, and I didn't want to drag this kind of heavy book with me, so I just grabbed Michael Crichton's Dragon Teeth. So I'm also kind of reading both of these now. And Explorers Guild, that's about where I am, about halfway through. And Dragon's Teeth I just picked up, and I'm on page 28. And this is sort of a paleontology story set in the Old West, and it's a bit historical fact as well, because according to this, it's told from the point of view of a fictional character named William Johnson, but it also involves, where was that note? 2 actual paleontologists of that time. Real life paleontologist Edward Drinker Cope and Othniel Charles Marsh. And it's set in late 19th century American West. So apparently those 2 paleontologists are big rivals, and William Johnson is the only reason he's sort of heading out west. We don't know where yet, but he's on this sort of paleontology dig. He's pretending to be a photographer. That was the only way he could get in on this group, because they had already filled up all the spots, and he says, yeah, I can do photography. So he's had to learn rather quickly. The only reason he's participating in this, because this is not something he would usually do, is because of a bet. And he hates to lose a bet. And someone said, oh, you're probably just going to go off on some European trip this summer and, you know, blah, 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 and never do anything daring or dangerous. And they happened to mention this. He's like, no, I'm part of the group. And then he had to force his way into it by pretending he's a photographer. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. He may have gotten himself into some serious trouble here, but we'll see. I'm curious. Like I said, I'm not big on Westerns, but the paleontology side of it might be interesting, and sort of the historical aspect of it as well, being brought into that would be interesting. So that's what I'm currently reading. That's my success with the Tome Topple. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Me and the bear are gonna go have some dinner. See you guys later. Bye-bye.